What's going on, everyone? It's LFC Transfer Room here. Liverpool have just played Fulham in the Carabao Cup in a typical Liverpool game. Go behind, bring on some subs, make scoring look really easy, don't get the third to kill off the game and just have a little bit of frustration. But overall, there's a lot of positives to take from the game. So I'm joined tonight by Chad and Dan. We've just watched the game, and we're going to sort of have a bit of a debrief. If you've got any strong opinions, if there's a player that you thought particularly did well or anything like that, please put it in the chat, put it in the comments. Let's have a chat about it. But Chad, I'm going to start with you. Initial reaction to the game. Are you happy with the 2-1? Are you a little bit disappointed with the 2-1?
I'm more happy about the second half performance. First half, we were flat. It's starting to make me feel like Klopp is using the first half as a way to analyze the team and then adjust in the second half. I think it's been showing in the last few games that the first half we don't come out of the blocks firing at full tilt, and then in the second half we just become this monster that has been hiding under the team's beds for a while and just comes out and starts getting the crap out of them. So I think for me it's a good performance. It's a decent performance. We get the job done. We move on to Craven Cottage, and hopefully we can get the job done there as well. But yeah, for me the result is a good thing. The performance is a better thing.
Yeah, what are your initial thoughts on the game, Dan?
Yeah, I was really pleased in the context of the fact that the players and the key players that were missing in what is Fulham's biggest game this season, as it stands right now, we did really well. It was a very full strength Fulham team, and Chad's right. The first half it did seem to be like we were trying to suss out Fulham, and to be fair, it has to be a bit of a game of attrition at times, especially with a team who's playing so deeply, is that you've just got to keep knocking that ball left and right, backwards and forwards, and just try and just wear them away. And eventually, I think our second goal comes completely from tiredness, which we'll go on to, but just from that effect of keep going, keep pushing, keep moving them. And we did what we needed to do. A little bit frustrated, we just didn't quite get that third goal, which would have just killed the tie for me. I generally feel if we won that game 3-1, we're not going to concede two clear goals at Craven Cottage, and that would have given us another opportunity. So still work to do, but ultimately, it's game point Liverpool.
Yeah, I mean, from my perspective, my main thoughts on the game is the first thing everyone starts to do is Harvey can't play on the wing because he's not quick enough. But I think you can have a slow winger as long as your other players are quick. But Jota's not the quickest. And Diaz is quick, but he's not lightning as he was yet because I think he's still coming back from his injury. So I think we went with quite a slow front three, which I think caused us a lot of problems. And the subs suddenly, Nunez suddenly creates a lot of space attacking at pace. So I think Gravenberch has some development to do in big game pressure situations. For me, I think he loses him. He either plays really well or he loses himself. He seems to get caught up in the whole fire of a situation and the whole pressure of it. But he's 21. You'd expect that. You'd expect him not to have the maturity to be able to do stuff like that. And then the main positive for me was Bradley just looked like he slotted in perfectly, like more than comfortable.
Yeah.
But the big question I've got, and the big one that I was thinking about before we came on, and I'll give it to the chat, and I'll also give it to you as well, Chad. Fulham's first goal, it was messy, but I don't think Alisson concedes it. Because how often does Alisson get beat at his near post? And is this a Klopp giving games to someone in a semi-final where, we might have got away with it, but it's potentially a risk?
To be fair to
on the chat, and what do you think, Chad?
To be fair to Keller, Van Dijk first of all should have cleaned up the mess, and then after that, the second ball, he had a couple defenders in front of him. So it's kind of hard for a goalkeeper to see through traffic like that because you had Van Dijk and Kanate that were closing in on the ball and they were in front of him. So I won't blame Keller completely. And to a point, you are correct in the sense that, Alisson doesn't concede that because Alisson's more demanding at the back and he's more vocal and controlled. And, there was a lot of people in front of Keller. Bradley fell over when William drove past him, at the penalty spot. And then you have Kanate and Van Dijk, and the ball luckily went through Van Dijk's legs, I think. So it's not a fault on Keller in that sense, but at the same time, he does need to be more commanding in his box. I feel like that could be one of the issues that he does have with his game. He is not as vocal as an Alisson is at the back. He's not as demanding of his space as Alisson is. So besides that, he had a good game. He had a couple of good saves. Obviously not the saves that Leno made, but he had a very decent game, I think. And I think the thing with Klopp and putting him in these games is these are his tournaments, these are his opportunities to play. And I think he'll also play against Fulham at Craven Cottage in the second leg as well. I think just because Klopp believes this is his tournament to play, and this is where he needs to step up and show that he is the second in command. And I feel like they'll also carry on into the final. So all we can do is we can make sure that we have his back, and Klopp puts the right people in front of him that can command the space and help him guide him and make sure that he's protected at all times.
It's odd though, isn't it, Dan? And everything Chad says is right. And it's kind of unfair to expect Kelleher to perform at the level of the best goalkeeper in the world. But at the same time, there is that decision that Klopp's made to go, this is your competition, and we're going to risk losing it all because that 5-10% difference that Alisson is to you, we're prepared to risk it to play you. And that's nothing, there's no slight on me and Keller to say he's 10% less than Alisson. Most people are 10% less than Alisson. Most Premier League keepers are 10% less than Alisson. But it's a brave and potentially risky decision at the same time.
Yeah. I've already said in our chat, I've said multiple times, I'm not... Klopp knows more than me as a football manager, but as someone who sits here as a team, it's not about individuals. So I don't buy into this idea that only one player is absolutely guaranteed that it's their competition. That doesn't make any sense to me at all. It was ultimately start of the FA Cup rounds, start of the Europa League rounds, start of the League Cup. But as you've just said there, we're in a situation now where we're about to win something. We have a very good chance of winning a trophy here. One of the greatest things that is thrown at this Klopp side and this Liverpool is they've not won enough. Well, let's do everything we can do, which means playing our best players out on that pitch to go and win the game. We've played every single game on that right-hand side, hypothetically, and this is his competition, so we won't play Salah. You know what I mean? I don't understand why one player isn't particularly allowed to say, that's your position, but what about a player who is an outfield player, may well have played every other game? So if you tell me we get to the final, and they may not have been great in any game, but ultimately they were 5, 6 out of 10, are we just going to then not play Salah? Then I don't agree with that. But ultimately, the goal that was conceded, Alisson probably does save it. Alisson probably does because he's Alisson. Potentially the situation that occurs beforehand doesn't occur because prior to that situation, there was a bit of a mix-up between Kanate and Kelleher, which then led to the throw-in. The throw-in led into the goal. And then, situations can occur. And it might just mean a bit of confidence in knowing who's behind you and what decision they're going to make in particular moments. I think a lot of it looked a little bit disjointed between the goalkeeper and the defenders. And that can happen. Van Dijk was at fault. Yes, he absolutely was. The header was poor. Coming back and trying to track back was also poor. Can I give him some rope because of the fact that he's coming back from an illness? Yeah, I probably can. Maybe there's a little bit of a hangover from that situation. So yeah, I mean, it's not cost us today. It's not, caused the biggest problems.
It's not cost us yet, because we're at half time.
Yeah. Yeah, but at half time we're 1-0 down, and it's put us in a bit of a situation, hasn't it? So yeah, not Kelleher's fault, but I just don't buy into the idea that any player is absolutely guaranteed to play. It should be based on your performances. That's my opinion of it, ultimately.
Yeah, but I mean, you have to remember, when we went for the quad, Kelleher was the keeper for the whole of the League Cup, run, and we won it, and he even played in the final against Chelsea. So it's kind of what Klopp is, again, like you were saying, I get what you're saying in terms of you can't guarantee someone a place, even though there's someone better that's, either behind him or on the bench. But at the end of the day, when it comes to the keeping position, I think Kelleher needs the game time, and this competition is their competition to give him. And you can see in the FA Cup where we played Arsenal, Alisson started. So I feel like Alisson will be continuing to play in that FA Cup position.
And that's the reason. Sorry, James, just to come back to that is in the 2022 season, the first time we took the FA Cup and the League Cup seriously, and we went on and won the thing, Jurgen Klopp had to make a decision and make a big U-turn. When he played in the quarterfinals, he played Alisson, because he then realised there's a chance for us to win something here. There's a real good opportunity for us to go on and do it. So he's proven he'll change his opinion on the domestic cups for Kelleher's all the way from the quarterfinal against Nottingham Forest. So I'm just, for me, the FA Cup, the League Cup, the Cup, I want us to win them. So let's just get the best people on the pitch. Kelleher's been brilliant, but he's a professional, and he's paid tens of thousands of pounds every week to do what he's told. I'm not all of the opinion to sit there and say, well, he deserves a game, like out of pity. Yeah, he deserves a game, of course, but at the same time, there's 25 people in that team who deserve a trophy, and you've got to put your best people out there to do it. That's just how I see it. That's how I see it.
I think where I was at with it tonight, when I was thinking about it, is you've got no Trent, you've got no Salah, you have a discrepancy in leaders on the pitch. Yes, you've got Van Dijk there, but you've got a clear reduction, and you've got someone like Bradley, who is playing his first, I think he's played 10 games. He's playing in quite a high pressurized. For me, I'd have probably gone Alisson, just because I think if you're trying to manage the situation to maximise your return, we could have won that 2-3-0, put the game to bed, and then you could have played Kelleher in the second leg and everything would have been easier. Now Fulham's going to have a ropey first until the first goal scored. Now, if Liverpool get the first goal, it'll be a breeze of a tie. I think if Fulham get the first goal, it will turn into an absolute slugfest. And that's just the way that it could go. Now, I'm going to move on, because it's one goal. We still won. And as Jamie says, please hit the like and subscribe. We are so close to the 10K quiz. I have a full quiz planned for the 10K. It's going to be epic. We just need to get over 10,000 subscribers. So if you are new here, please subscribe to the channel, everything that you can do to help us. Now, in the chat, if you can let us know who you think your man of the match was. Who was the man of the match for you? Who was the best player in the pitch? Was it someone that was on for the whole game? Someone like Conor Bradley? Someone like Curtis Jones? Or was it one of these super subs that came on and changed the game, like Cody Gakpo or Darwin Nunez with 2 assists? Chad, for you, man of the match, reasons why?
It's Curtis Jones. It's an easy one. Curtis Jones for the England squad for Euro. He has to be in that squad. I think this is his season. This is his breakout season, honestly, because the way he controls the ball, the way he plays in the position, the way he gets back on defense, his attacking ability to see space, and he's just his whole comfortability on the ball is just, it's refreshing to have someone that can have that comfortability on the ball, especially now that Thiago's, who was the one guy that was the one that you can count on to have that comfortability and the control in the midfield. He's been injured, so now he needed someone to step up, and Curtis Jones has been doing that. So, he was an attacking midfielder, and he developed his game over the years, which is a great thing to see from young players. Is you be able to develop and change the whole system that you play, and you make it work for the team. And that's the good thing and the great thing about Curtis Jones. And we're starting to see that now, and he's starting to see that. And so for me, it had to be Curtis Jones. I mean, that touch that he took, I don't know what it was. It was a shot, and he had William on his back, and he took the touch and put it in the space, and he ran into that space. Like, that just shows the confidence that the guy has. So I expect big things from Curtis this season.
It's a good suggestion. There's very little to argue against Curtis Jones being on there. Dan, are you on the Curtis Jones? Are you the Bradley or the Nunez? They're the other two that were in our chat, is what people were saying for man of the match.
What Jones has got to say, I think Jones is absolutely fantastic throughout the entire match. But for me, I'll just raise the standards of sitting there and say to myself, I'm going to talk about Nunez, because I thought how excellent he was. Not just in the fact that he's come immediately into the team, was capable of influencing that match almost immediately, and he's proven something that we miss when he's not in the team. We miss the opposite. It's no coincidence that all of a sudden the opportunity became available when he came on that pitch. And he got the assist for the Curtis Jones goal. We'll take it. It's not the assist, which is the one that's to talk about. It's the second one. It's so well taken. He's out on that left hand side, which we've talked about so many times, that I still feel that's his best position. Absolutely, he can influence that game so much more. He gets more, plays a fantastic ball to Gakpo, but he finishes it really well. And then he's, again, I can't believe Leno's save, like, again, pulling out a worldie. Oh, Bradley's put in this fabulous ball. Nunez has hit it into the ground, done everything you could possibly ask to say, make this finish as difficult for the keeper to save, and somehow he's pulled it out. Bang. I think he's going to have to start scuffing him, because there's no way he's going to get a goal if he carries on like this. So, yeah, for me, Curtis Jones, agree with everything they've said, but I just want to bang the drum for Nunez about the way that he came on and influenced that game. It was, for me, he's got to start in every match that going forward. He's been fantastic.
I mean, Helio mentioning the special Oscar given today to Andre Pereira after graduating from Man United Loser Academy. I think you're being a bit harsh there. You see, Andres Pereira was violently attacked by Virgil van Dijk's pinky finger. And as anyone knows, obviously, that has to be almost like criminal proceedings almost. You boop someone on the nose. Yeah, I mean, on the chin. I mean, it's akin to ABH, really, for me. I can't believe he even got up after it. I mean, I've seen Mike Tyson knock people out, but nothing as violent as that little boop that Virgil van Dijk gave him. I mean, what a hard man he is. What an absolute warrior. What an absolute machine Pereira is for dealing with the harsh punishment of that. What a legend. And it just summarises everything that's taken out of their academy.
I said, I think he lost an eyelash.
I hope yeah. Shots. That shot that he took off, I think his spine will have to be reconstructed after that hit him. Never seen a player so hard my entire life. The fact that he's is just a miracle. It's a miracle.
Well, he's come through the United Academy, so thankfully he has no spine, so it didn't cause that much damage.
When he fell into Alistair and gets kicked away, and he's walked away with his hip, takes 2 steps, like his leg's gonna fall off, he's finished, that's done. And then 2 steps later, he's running again. It's like, come on, lad, do the rest. You know what I mean? At least keep.
I mean, who's the United captain? You got Bruno Fernandes. I mean, who else to learn better from?
Oh, it's the whole place is. We're not going to talk about them. We're going to talk about Darwin Nunez. One of the big things kicking off in our chat, and please, give us your opinion on this in terms of who is Darwin Nunez like? Because there's some in our chat saying it reminds me of Drogba and how Drogba used to play football in terms of he can occupy both centre-backs by himself, he can find positions, he can drive through. His goal ratio is actually quite similar to Drogba as well, but he's very different in terms of he's quick on the wings and pace and brings people in and tries to probably pass balls a little bit more. Unsuccessfully, I don't think he's necessarily got his eye in yet. And then there's players like Torres who get in behind and occupy and sort of run in channels, and he's definitely not got the finishing of Torres, but that sort of strong, quick turn in behind. Dibrajel Cisse probably comes to mind. Chad, can you think of anyone that's like Nunez from sort of our era of football that you kind of goes, oh, you remind me of X? I'm really sure.
It's a hard one, but I feel like maybe Suarez from Barcelona, the Barcelona Suarez of the season where he won top goal scorer. I feel like the way Suarez adapted his game to fit in with Messi and Neymar, where he became more of a provider to those two instead of being the out and out, I'm the guy, I'm going to score, I'm going to win the game for you guys. So I feel like he has similar to that Suarez. Of course, he doesn't have the finishing of Suarez from Barcelona, but he has that mentality of, I'm going to take a little bit of a backseat. I'm not firing in all full cylinders at the moment. I have guys that are doing more better than me, or much better than me, sorry. I'm going to be the provider for those guys. So I feel like he does have something similar to that. Again, it's not a perfect replica. Nothing comes to my mind that clicks that, that reminds me of Darwin Nunez. But something about the Suarez Barcelona era, especially in the later years, we became more of that provider for Messi and for Neymar. That kind of gives me that little bit of that Nunez vibes at the moment. But yeah, no, that's the thing. I also want to bring out, I know we moved past this topic, but I also want to give a shout out to Gakpo. I feel like he's also coming into his own skin at the moment, and I feel like he needs to get some appreciation at the moment because the performances he's putting in, it's quite solid. It's a really solid play from Gakpo. And you can see that he's adapted now to the Liverpool team and he's adapted to the environment, and he's just going to crack on even better.
I completely agree, and Gakpo's been, he's like I said here, 9 goals for Gakpo now. So again, he's got a good return after probably quite a slow start, but he was asked to play in midfield. But going back to the Nunez thing, Dan, I mean, I've been going through some names in my head that I've been thinking about in terms of what's he like. Not currently a natural finisher, which is fine. So when you go through your non-natural finishers, it's what do they give to the team? Well, he makes space for others. That's very, very Firmino-like, but he does not play Firmino-like in the slightest. He's awkward, impossible to mark, and can play against anyone, which is very Peter Crouch-like almost, isn't it? You don't get what he's doing. He doesn't get what he's doing, and that was very much. And I think Peter Crouch is probably the one where I'm going nearer to, but with pace. Like, because Peter Crouch had no pace whatsoever. Where are you in terms of what? But he's stronger than Crouch is as well, isn't he? He's quicker and stronger. He's got all the attributes. He just needs to take a few more of his shots, and he will be a leading Premier League 9.
100%. He's a conundrum, isn't he? It's probably what makes him so exciting. It's probably the reason why his name's on everyone's lips, not just our fan base, but other teams. Is why he's talked about in commentaries, because what is he at the moment? And I think a lot of us don't exactly know what that is. As you say, he's got a range of passing at times, which is absolutely outstanding. He's played some fantastic, calm, assists and balls, which are like, wow, that's well above what you were trying to put him down to. He's developed from the player that we saw last season, who was all chaos and, he was full brute force, pace, running in behind, just like literally like a battering ram. You put Darwin Nunez on at 70 minutes and he'd be the battering ram because you got tired legs, he's big, he's incredibly fast, strong, he's a bully. He's capable, as you say, of occupying 2 centre-backs. He's horrible. He doesn't mind getting stuck in. He's going to be causing the mad, he's going to be giving them in the ear. But then he also has a side to his game which is incredibly he can. Oh, hello.
Round
about there, you tackle. But yeah, so and he's able to take a shot, and his finishing it's hard to say because in the recent games, his finishing's not there, and I just think that's unfair to say because today, I mean, am I making an excuse in saying that Leno's save was out of this world? I don't think I am. I think
Oh, cracking.
you know, and then I look at Dubravka saves. On another day, Dubravka's not making those saves, and he should be getting at least 1 or 2 goals in that game. And the conversation changes. He's capable of scoring absolute worldies outside the box. Burnley and Bournemouth, really top draw goals. So he's got a bit of everything. And what impresses me the most is that you look, and there was a little moment on the Sky coverage. I don't know if everyone watched it on Sky, but after the save that Leno had made, you just see Nunez. He's smiling and he's shaking his head, and it cut over to Klopp, and he's doing the same thing. And you just know that it's like you're doing. Klopp knows he's doing. Nunez is doing everything that's being asked of him. He's doing all the right things. He's doing what he needs to be, and he just accepts that. Sometimes it's just not going to work out for him. He creates volumes and volumes and volumes of chances. And at times, he's absolutely right. He doesn't finish the ones that you go, please, you've done all the hard work. Just do the bit that's, the putting the ball in the net bit. And that can be frustrating. But what we can say is that with him on our team, we are much more potent and we're much more creative. So maybe over the course of the next, 4 or 5 months, we might see more about what kind of a player he's going to be. But ultimately, if he keeps contributing goals, I'm happy.
Maybe just a suggestion, is it not maybe we need to change our mindsets around Nunez in terms of not looking at him as he's going to get us 20 plus goals. He's that guy. Or maybe we need to look at him as he's the guy that's going to help pull the team together, help pull the front line together. It looks to me like he has.
I was there.
He has
that's the thing. I was of that opinion, but he gets so many big chances.
Yeah.
That he should be getting 20 goals as well. So it's really hard to say. Let's think of him as the guy that just creates space for everyone else, a bit like what Firmino was. But Firmino would never get in. If you give Firmino a big chance, Firmino would score the big chance, and I think that's just the element that's missing. And he doesn't need to take all of them. He's still going to miss a lot of big chances. Every striker does. But I think his conversion on them has just got to go up 20%. I think he's got to learn deft touch. So a Michael Owen in that situation today where Leno pulled off a worldie, Michael Owen or Robbie Fowler would just dink it in. They wouldn't slam it in. They would just knock it because they knew exactly what the keeper would dive. So if I just put a little bit of height on it, I'll just dink it in. It'll still go in relatively quickly, but it would always go in. Torres was the same, and he plays like Alan Shearer, which is I'm going to hit this ball regardless as hard as I can in any situation. And I think the Premier League's moved on a little bit more, where sometimes a little bit of delicacy is probably what's needed, and I think that's what he's got to develop for me. And I think it'll all change if a little bit of delicacy comes into his game, because that's what Suarez got in the end. But Suarez got delicacy before he shot. And maybe Nunez does the same. He learns to just move the ball to the exact position where he can just hit it and pass it in. But he doesn't pass the ball. He always strikes it like Alan Shearer-esque, as hard as he can, in the corner as hard as he can every time, or across the ground as hard as he can every time. And you take someone like Jota, who has a whole range of finishing. And he's so close for me. He's so close to just being top 5 strikers in the world.
Yeah, because even those, sorry, Dan, even those critical chances, some of these chances are not even, critical chances. Some of these chances are he made up by himself. He made himself those chances.
Yeah.
Things that we wouldn't expect, like shooting from the corner of the box or shooting from, behind the keeper. These things that we don't think about doing. We thought, okay, you get the ball squared at 45 it. He shoots and he gets it on target. That's the thing. He gets it on target. It's like he wants to pepper the goalkeeper to make him weaker so they can so the other chances are much easier. Keeper's too weak to save them. But that's the thing. I completely agree with what you're saying. He's almost there. It's like there's just one piece missing from that puzzle. And that's the frustrating part about him.
Dan, one of the things that people were talking about a lot, and there's a big conversation going about, is Nunez a lot like Drogba and stuff like that. And a couple of people are like, no, you can't do that. The goal numbers stack up relatively similar. But Drogba came to the Premier League at 26 and was a lot more mature, was a lot more ready.
Yeah.
His numbers in France were similar to Nunez's numbers in Portugal. Nunez is what, 22, 23, 24. Get there eventually. So he's just maturing, and I think what we're seeing in Nunez's game is that lack of maturity in terms of, as I tried to explain there, the touch of finish and stuff like that. Because in leagues like Portugal, you've got an extra half a second. In the Europa League, you've got an extra half a second. Premier League, you don't. And is it just a patience? It should come as long as he keeps working, as long as he keeps trying, he'll be golden. Or is it just he's just not got that natural goal scorer mentality?
I mean, he has got the goal scorer mentality because he's proven it. It's there, but as you've mentioned, it's raw. He joined us at 22. He turned 23. Then he's now 24. We had a really poor season last year in which obviously the club was in a bit of a mess and not the best start to his Liverpool career. And he still went on and created double-figure goals and assists. To adapt to a new team. He's still learning English. And it's so difficult to put on somebody who, we all sit here as people maybe come from first world countries where we've had all the opportunities to be able to go and have the educations. Darwin Nunez, his family, grew up incredibly poor. And he's not had the opportunity. He's been able to get himself where he is by having incredible talent for football. And there's a lot to learn more than just what happens on the pitch. He's had to adapt to a new world that he's come into here in the United Kingdom. He's had to learn, obviously, new languages. He's had to learn a new system. He's had to come in there, and he's now having to perform at the very, very top of football. We're one of the best teams in the world. At Benfica, he was a big fish at a big fish club in a small fish pond. And ultimately, he was capable of going in there, scoring a lot of goals. His finishing rate was incredibly, incredibly high. But as you've mentioned there, he's just turned 24. I think we're kind of used to these players where you have Mo Salah, who I think he took to a point where, was he 25 when he joined us?
24, 25 when he joined us.
25. So he was only joining us at the point where Nunez is obviously at now. We look at your players like your Erling Haaland, who's obviously a robot. He's an alien from outer space. He's putting numbers out there that don't make sense. If we do move forward 2 more years and we put Nunez and we continue to see development, which we should all expect to see, if he does keep developing at the trajectory that we're looking at, we're on to a hell of a player. He's on a 6-year contract. And ultimately, this is going to be a long term. As long as we keep seeing improvement, as long as we keep seeing it, I'm of all of the belief that it's going to come good, because what I'm seeing is something which ultimately I feel, with experience, with development, with time, with one of the best coaches in world football, he should be able to then become, as you say, just a more clinical finisher. He doesn't have to finish all of these chances. If he finishes 30% chances, 25
5 more big chances, just 5 more big chances, his conversion rate's through the roof.
If it's 5 more big chances that he scores, we go from having a conversation of he misses too many to that not being a conversation anymore. Do you know what I mean? It's not a huge difference. But because he keeps putting himself, like Chad said, in situations that I don't think anyone else creates. I don't think any other player even gets into that situation. And then he becomes almost like it becomes negative off a positive. It's like no one else would have created that, but because I didn't score, then ultimately I'm at fault now, kind of thing.
Mm.
Now, we're going to finish the stream by just giving you both a player. I'm going to give you both a player that played really well tonight, what you liked about him, what you think the future is going to be. And it's not like ones that we've already talked about. So I'm going to start with you, Chad. Let's go Diego Jota. came alive when Nunez and Gakpo came on, because suddenly space was created and he just turned into a counter-pressing machine, running with the ball, dribbling past players, creating opportunities. What are your thoughts on Diego Jota tonight? Because obviously I think he needed some of the quicker players around him to create space.
Yeah, no, I think Jota's our. I think he needs to be our number 9. And he needs to be our centre forward going forward, because he does everything that that Bobby Firmino did in terms of tracking back, in terms of being in those small pockets outside the box, and in terms of linking the play. He does that from Bobby's side. But then he has the Salah mentality of he wants to finish the goals, and he finishes them. He has a great eye for goal. He has a great ability to score those goals, take those chances. So from me, is what I saw from Jota today, as you said, you needed the faster guys on the field to help him maneuver the Fulham's low block. And when they came on, Jota and Nunez and Gakpo, you can see that he is more open now because there's more threats. There's more people that the defense needs to worry about. So it allowed him to get into those small pockets, to find those spaces, to play those link-up passes, to get into the place where he needs to be to get the goals. And we've seen that. We saw it against Newcastle. We saw it against Arsenal when he came on for a small cameo. It's how Jota plays and the way Jota is, and he is the perfect fit to play in that 9 position. And like we've said this many times in the streams, is play Jota in the middle, and you have Nunez on the left, and you have Salah on the right, and you have a dominant front 3. You have the best front 3 in the game because of how many threats there are on that field, and because of how they link the play up together. And Liverpool's success over the years has been because of that central player, and that was Firmino. The way Firmino was able to link up the midfield to the wingers, to the front line. From the midfield to the wingers to the front line. It was all done because Firmino had the ability to fit into those pockets, and Jota has the same ability. And he just adds on. There's just an addition of his ability to score the goals, and he can score goals. That's just it's not even a question now. It's a fact. Jota can score goals. So for me, that's the thing that I take away from Jota, and I feel like we just need to help him stay fit, help him stay available, and keep progressing the team around, especially the front line around Jota in that middle.
Completely agree, and it's just the most natural finisher we've got, even above Salah for me. Salah's not a natural finisher for me. Jota's left foot, right foot somehow wins way more headers than he has the right to win, and you'll see, like, some of the people on this will believe he should be the number 1 super sub that we've got, should come on 70 minutes, 60, 70 minutes every game and win us games, because for some reason every time he does, he scores a goal. But I think the Jota Nunez thing is just a joy for me, because they create so much. Everyone's so worried about Nunez running places. Jota just ghosts in out of nowhere and scores every time. So for me, Diego Jota is turning into, for the second half of this season, because obviously he was injured for the part of the first half. I think for the second half of this season, he's going to win us so many important points. And I think he's demonstrated why he's so important to us again today. Dan, we talked about it a couple of times on stream, but we're going to close the stream tonight talking about Joe Gomez. Left back. No one's talking about him. No one's, again, because, once again, didn't put a foot wrong. Played the perfect left back position as a centre back, quick, powerful. Got caught out a couple of times, but sprinted back into position really quickly, trusting his body again. He's getting really good who scored ratings in terms of tackle success, aerial success, stuff like that. What are your thoughts on Joe Gomez? If Costa hopefully will be back quicker now. I think they're saying it's not as bad, but it's not really a panic at the moment, is it?
Massively fills me with confidence when it comes to our fullbacks. As mentioned, so Simicast is hopefully going to be coming back. I think Robertson should be as back equally at the same time, as it looks like. And what's important about that is as well is I sit there and go, it'll almost be a shame, won't it, for Gomez to basically have to be benched because he's been brilliant, hasn't he? He's been so good, he's been so versatile, and as you've mentioned, he's been able to trust himself again. You see that pace that he's had. He's running, he's sprinting. I mean, up against Bobby DeCola Reed, he was a handful. You know, he's a very good player, and he had the best of him all night. And a really important interception that he made in that second half of 2-1 when the ball comes in across, gets behind in Canate, and he's there, cool, calm as you like, gets rid of it. And it kind of went a little bit under the radar. So if Robertson comes back, which I think more likely will be the first one who will come back into it, it fills me with that bit of confidence. We don't all really have to rush Trent back in after this little knee injury because Gomez can go back over to the right, which he's naturally more suited to being on that side anyway, with being right-footed. So it gives us a lot of flexibility and versatility on both sides now that we can kind of go, right, left backs are back from injury. Robertson is rested, which is brilliant in a weird way. His injury hasn't been a leg, it's been an arm. So the rest of his body's had an opportunity just to take a break and have a rest. So when they do come back, say they come back before Trent, then the great thing is Gomez can play it on that right-hand side and he's still getting that game time. And as we saw against Crystal Palace, at right back when he overlaps, he's a very capable wing back. He's a very capable player who's capable of putting the ball in. And you can almost see that confidence, can't you? Because everyone's been making mention to it. The goal's coming, and he took a really nice little shot at very late on in the first half. And it's scoring one of the two, isn't he? He's scoring an absolute banger, or he's scoring an absolute scuff. And it's going to be one or the other.
Does he score this year? Yes or no?
Yes. He does.
Chad?
Yeah.
100%. He has to score one.
Oh, I'm like so going no. I don't think. I want him to.
Like Joe Gomez. You have to. Why don't you want to let the man score? Let the man have his moments.
I do want him to score, but I want him to score. Like I want him to get one goal for Liverpool. I want it to be like the winner in the Champions League final in the 92nd minute or something like that.
You're right, indeed.
I want it to be an absolute epic. Like Paul Linder will tell you that just give him a penalty, let him get it out of the way with. Just give it to him.
No, I don't want him to score a penalty. You can't score a penalty. You can't give him a penalty. No. He needs to score in open play.
I completely agree. It's one of those where I want him to score on a big occasion as opposed to just a first leg semi-final or something like that. I want it like a final or something, just something big, just for him. Just what a pub quiz question it'd be as well. Joe Gomez scored one goal for Liverpool. When did he score it? And if it's in a final, perfect. But it's not. It's going to be like against Bournemouth away, isn't it, or something like that?
Whatever. It's like
does he have the
goal against Leicester? Sorry, Dan. Manmino's goal against Leicester to make us go through to the semi-finals. I think it was a Carabao Cup game. What if it's one of those games where he scores a late winner to get us through to the next round? So the final.
If it's a late winner, if it's a winner, then it's worth it. Especially with everything, but it has to impact onto something. So if it's a late winner and we end up winning it, great. Because then it's a pub quiz question. If it's just a pointless nothing, like what Lindo would just give him a penalty, like when we're 6-0 up or something like that, then I'm not for that.
Yeah.
I might give him free kicks outside the box if we're 6-0 up, though. That could be worth it. Although that's quite disrespectful. There's a video of him doing a free kick practice with Van Dijk, Trent, and something else, and he just bangs them all in, doesn't he?
Yeah, he was the only one that got all 5. Trent got like 2, I think.
Yeah. Years ago, that. But Liverpool are through. They're not through yet, but they've got a pinky toe. A pinky toe that obviously nearly knocked out Pereira through. A little pinky through to the next round with the 2-1 advantage going into the second legs. same again in a couple of weeks' time. 10 days off. Jurgen Klopp, as Muse puts, enjoy your break. I'm leaving right now. So Klopp is already on a plane. So don't expect any transfer signings over the next 10 days.
No. I just want to ask you guys one question, because I was watching the Newcastle game. And you know when you have that moment of clarity in your head where you just start seeing everything now? I can start seeing, I don't recognize Liverpool's team. I don't recognize the Liverpool team that went on to win the quadruple, to win on to win the Champions League, to win on to win the Premier League. You know what I mean? I don't recognize that Liverpool team anymore. Liverpool doesn't look like that. It doesn't look like Liverpool anymore in a sense. And the moment of clarity was, I'm starting to see Klopp 2.0. I'm starting to recognize the new team that's forming out. You know what I mean? And it's a weird question, but I want to ask you guys, like, do you guys also have that moment of clarity, or was it just one of those moments where, over the New Year's break, where you just bug it the whole night, and things just start popping up in your head?
Against West Ham, where we just went after them from the first minute. So I remember when we were hunting for the league, and the first 20 minutes of every game, we just used to annihilate everybody. Like, the pressing was just relentless. And we haven't really done that this season, apart from, and the first time we did it was that West Ham game. So I got Klopp 2.0 in that West Ham game because we just hounded them into absolute submission. So we played good football. We've made opportunities and stuff like that. But that was the first time we've seen Klopp-level counter-press where we just unrelentingly destroyed somebody. So that was my moment of clarity for Klopp 2.0 coming through. Dan?
Well, I've been a believer that we've been a much better team than we are from quite a lot earlier on, to be honest with you. There's been fractional moments of it, hasn't there, in previous games. One of the first ones was when we beat Wolves. That's that international break. And there was all this big argument of, like, 12 kickoffs didn't work for us and stuff like that. And we went down 1-0, had a couple of chances that they should have scored, could have been worse for us. But I noticed that this team was the first occasion. It was like, not losing this one today. It's not happening. You know, and we've done that multiple times. And I think other clubs, you can see it's not sustainable. Man United are much higher in the league table than the performances because they've got results and they've not looked like they've been good value for it. Where when we've gone behind on a number of occasions, I don't think there's many games where I could have said, probably didn't deserve to win that one. You know, it's always seemed to be, we've conceded, yes, but we're a better team. And it's something which is reoccurring. And I think that this is Liverpool 2.0. It's a team that ultimately has its mentality back, has that kind of, you're going to score it again tonight. Conceded a goal and no one capitulated. We just went on and did what we needed to do. So, yeah, I agree with you, Chad. I think there's been a number of games, but the very first glimpse of it was the Wolves match. But then I think, like James says, the first time when I really saw us turn on the magic was against West Ham in the League Cup. We absolutely annihilated them. We made bad, and we were absolutely fantastic. And I love all that. I love seeing it. It's a nice journey to be on because we're only at the start, aren't we? This is the thing.
Exactly.
We're only
Exactly.
It's where we go.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Make sure that you like and subscribe. Road to 10K. We'll catch you on the next one. Take care.